वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्नाय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्नि घोरात्वेषे नमः। श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थपितां येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मयं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हाँ, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Dear devotees, doing Bhakti Shastri with VIHE, we are discussing Nectar of Devotion. Is everything okay?
Hare Prabhu, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna. So you are welcome. Hari Bol Chatura. So, what we have discussed yesterday, we are just recapitulating that little bit and then going further. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by Srila Rupa Goswami with Nectar of Devotion summary study by the Divine Grace of Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, the Eastern section, first wave, concerning an overview of Bhakti. So we are doing the first wave. I know. This is Srila Jiva Goswami's comment about Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Obsessed by the desire to benefit all devotees of the Lord, the esteemed author Srila Rupa Goswami compiled this remarkable work, the scripture called Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, using the rasa. Now this one line you should remember always. Using the rasa presented in Srimad Bhagavatam. So the rasa of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is from Rasa is from in Bhagavatam. Where is Rasa in Bhagavatam? Rasamalayam, second verse. So Rasa is by relations. Using the Rasa present in Srimad Bhagavatam, which appeared within his lotus bud of his heart. So why Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is very important book for Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya? It is because it gives precise definition of very important items in our Sampradaya, like Bhakti, Prema, Rasa, and different types of rasa, etc. Why do we need precise definitions? If we do not have precise definition of things, then we fall into confusion. For example, I may talk about Bhakti, but it might be totally different from what the Bhakti actually is. Bhakti generally means without any material motives or desires. But in most cases, it is full of material desires. Bhakti means only for Krishna or Vishnu. But we see the terms like Desh Bhakti, Samaj Bhakti. Desh Bhakti means national devotion to the nation. Samaj Bhakti means devotion to the particular society. when they say bhakti, it generally refers to some sort of emotional tendency, but bhakti means devotional service. This is the word today we will learn, Krishna Anusilanam. Anusilanam means cultivation, which means activity. The words, especially Sanskrit words, have diverse meaning. For example, Atma has so many meanings. So when we precisely talk about subject, and in order to accomplish anything based on explaining this subject, we need to have precise definition. Otherwise, that does not have any meaning. We want to have philosophy, that is intelligence and acceptable. It has to have very precise definition. If you want to have a philosophy that is intelligent and acceptable, Srila Prabhupada presented the philosophy which was very intelligent and which was acceptable by the people of the whole world, even not from the background of India. Why? Because it has precise definitions. Well, there is another question. Why we need precise definition for bhakti? Bhakti is not a science. Science deals with material things, but bhakti is not material. In fact, bhakti is emotional rather than intellectual. How can you confine something that is emotional into philosophical definition? This is the explanation of the word bhakti only. This is true. In fact, Rupa Goswami himself mentioned that bhakti cannot be understood by tarka, means the argument, and intellect. Logic, argument, intellect. Yuktistu kevala naiva yada asyaha pratishtita. Only by taste can you understand swalpapi ruchi. Ruchi means taste. Eva syada bhakti tattva avabodhite. You can understand the essence of bhakti. And taste comes by experience. But guess what? The whole book itself is quite intellectual and logical in approach. How to understand that? Bhakti Samit Sindhu defines an Uttam Adhikari. In a sadhana bhakti. And the word uses Shastra Yuktao cha Nipunao. Yukti means logic. He is an expert in Shastra and logic. So he is an expert in Shastra. Isn't it a contradiction? No. The Acharya explained that intelligence and logic are useful to us because what differentiates human from animal is intelligence. So only with intelligence can we do something more than animals. So there is nothing wrong with intelligence as such, but how we use it. So therefore the meaning of Shastra Yukta or Nipuna means the logic or intelligence should be in conjunction with the scripture, not independent of it. So this is exactly what Acharya do when they make a philosophy or discuss a philosophy. They are using their intelligence. So as long as our intelligence in conjunction and cooperation with the scriptures, intelligence is not bad. So Srila Rupa Goswami has utilized the intelligence to put things together in a very systemic way, explaining what is bhakti, what are the different types of bhakti, what is the qualification of bhakti, what is ras, and what are its components, and so on. About nectar of devotion, which we are studying. The nectar of devotion is not a translation of Bhakti Samit Sindhu. It is a summary study. What are the advantages of summary study? Comparing Nectar of Devotion text to verses of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it is evident that Srila Prabhupada gave his dictation while simultaneously consulting the commentaries, just as in Srimad Bhagavad and Bhagavad Gita, etc. However, in the Nectar of Devotion, he did not use his standard format, Sanskrit script, Roman transliteration, Sanskrit, English word to word, English translation and commentary for each text. Thus, he could sometimes take the liberty to greatly expand the original text when he felt that his audience needed a more relevant explanation. And he could also drastically summarize sections he felt were not so relevant to his audience at that time. What is the result? Probably more people have studied Srila Rupa Goswami's teaching through the Nectar of Devotion than through the original text. Yes, millions of copies of Nectar of Devotion distributed since 70. Does it mean that ISKCON devotees should not or need not read the original text of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu? Srila Prabhupada wrote Teaching of Lord Chaitanya as summary, and he also subsequently gave Chaitanya Charitamrita, a comprehensive commentary. Srila Prabhupada wrote Krishna book, a summary study of 10th canto, and then he gave the Bhagavatam verse by verse. Thus, to fully appreciate Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, one requires complete translation of the text and commentaries. Teaching of Lord Chaitanya is very good, but it is not a replacement of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Thus, in our course, we will refer to original text wherever necessary. This is what we have discussed yesterday. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Bhakti. Srila Prabhupada says Bhakti means devotional service. Essential truth is spoken concisely, is true eloquent. So this is a beautiful definition by Srila Prabhupada. Bhakti connotes devotion or love, and love implies service, activity to please the beloved. This devotional service is an eloquent definition of Bhakti. Srila Prabhupada says the basic principle of living condition is that we have to general propensity to love someone. This is what we have discussed yesterday. The perfection of loving propensity is Krishna consciousness. No one can live without loving someone. In a preface we yesterday read. Srila Prabhupada says in the primary stage of child love, this is what yesterday we discussed, the expansion of the circle of love like the waves of the sound. Srila Prabhupada says the Nectar of Devotion teaches us the science of loving every one of the living entities perfectly by easy method of loving Krishna. And then yesterday we have the two examples, watering the root and putting the food in the stomach. Now rasa. This was the explanation of Bhakti. Now rasa. The word rasa used, there is no English equivalent, so mellow is used by Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Pad, so he also used the word mellow. Now what is rasa? Now read. Relationship are compared to fruits. The pleasure we taste in these relationship is juice, the mellow, the ras. So ras is by relationship. The taste of the fruit is what attracts us to eat it. Similarly, the force that attracts us to certain activity or relationship is the taste we enjoy in it. That is ras. Driven by affection, this is the whole section there, material ras. So material, mundane ras and bhakti ras. So bhakti ras is incalculably superior taste. Not only it is superior to sense gratification, But it is limitlessly superior to the bliss of spiritual emancipation, means liberation. If Brahma Anand, the Anand of merging into the Brahm, or happiness becoming one with the Supreme is multiplied by 1 trillion fold, it still cannot compare to an atomic fraction of happiness derived from the ocean of devotional service. So mundane ras bhog tyag, yesterday we discussed bhog tyag. Oscillation between the enjoyment and renunciation. Bhog means enjoyment, renunciation means tyag. Chapal sukh means filtering duration of happiness. And then we have neither enjoyment, bhog, nor renunciation is a natural position of the soul. Therefore, one cannot remain permanently situated in either. One will oscillate between the two, finding satisfaction in neither. In contrast, bhakti rasa is a natural position of the soul. And thus one can remain satisfied there perpetually without oscillation. Chapal sukh, happiness, sukh means happiness, of the mundane rasa is always temporary and flickering, which means chapal means temporary and flickering. Even the greatest material pleasure must end at death. That's what we discussed yesterday. In contrast, pleasure of the bhakti rasa does not flicker. Amrit. Srila Prabhupada says bhakti rasa, however, the mellow relish in the transcendental loving service of the Lord does not finish at the end of life. It continues perpetually and becomes amrit, that which does not die but exists eternally. So two meaning of amrit, perpetual and eternal. Amrit also means nectar, a tasty beverage which makes one deathless. Devotional service not only bestow eternal pleasure, it is also the process of achieving eternity. Srila Prabhupada writes in a preface that we yesterday read, the nectarian pleasure derived from the devotional service to Krishna is clearly superior to material sense gratification. These were the further qualities of the bhakti rasa we have discussed this section. Okay, till this time what was something we yesterday discussed? Do you have any question or comment? Hare Krishna. Any question or comment?
Recording in progress.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Any question or comment? This was all repetition.
Okay. Not yet, Prabhuji.
Okay. So everybody understood what is the most. Did you get the question bank by now?
Yes, Prabhu. Got it.
Yes.
So what are the question in preface?
How is the nectar of devotion and authoritative literature? First question.
Sorry, what is the first question?
How is the nectar of
How is nectar of?
How is nectar of devotion and authoritative literature?
How is the nectar of devotion?
And authoritative
And
literature.
authoritative.
Oh, authoritative literature. Oh, how the nectar of devotion is authoritative literature. So what is the answer? Somebody can speak? Yes?
Because it's written by the Rupa Goswami, who is the chief of the 6 Goswamis under the shelter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
It is authoritative because it is the It is the summary of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which was compiled by the very eloquent scholar Srila Rupa Goswami, scrutinizingly studying all the Vedic literature, and was particularly and specifically instructed for 10 continuous days by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Prayagraj, and it contains the authoritative definitions of the devotional service and its components.
Yes.
This is okay?
Prabhuji, yes, Prabhuji, Hari Bol.
Okay, something else? What is next question?
What is the universal principle presented by Lord Chaitanya?
All this is we discussed yesterday. Everybody remember the universal principle?
Yes.
Anybody who know the science of Krishna and
One who engaged in the devotional service of Lord.
and practice devotional service. Very good. He is considered a Vaishnava and better than one who is born simply in a higher caste but is not practicing that. And examples are Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. They were outcast by the caste Brahmins, but Mahaprabhu accepted them, and Haridas Thakur is a Namacharya. And then Krishna conscious movement is based on this universal principle, is educating the people in bhakti, in the science of bhakti. Is it okay?
Educating and elevating.
Educating and elevating, right? Educating means teaching them science of Krishna, and elevating them means teaching them the devotional service.
Yes.
Okay. But next question.
Explain the meaning of the name Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu.
Yeah, this was the today we have discussed again, repeated everything. So we should discuss what is bhakti, what is the rasa, and what is the amrit, and Sindhu means ocean. And all for amrit at least we have three names. By now we have three meaning of amrit. One is perpetual because it continues, and second is eternal because it, and third is nectar. Third meaning is also amrit means nectar. Now ras is ras and bhakti. You have to define and explain a little bit. What is ras? Ras is a
Thus is the attractive feature or pleasure derived from any service which derives the servitor progressively on and on. It is a kind of mellow or relationship whose taste is very sweet.
Yeah, this is what we have a precise definition. But if you want to write in your own language, then what you will do? Write.
Well,
Today we have a different approach to the ras. Have you realized? Have you realized that different approach to the ras? Relationship are compared to the fruits, and the fruit is tasty because of the juice. So the juice is a ras, and relationship are like a fruit. So it is because of the relationship. In a mundane world, we are working on and on because we get some taste. Similarly, when we develop relationship with Krishna, and then we get the bhakti rasa, and that will make us continually and perpetually doing that service. So you, I mean, you can explain as it is written in the technical language, but you must also try in your own language and apply in your own life. Why we are still continuing the devotional service for last, say, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 40 years? Why? what we are getting, what test we are actually getting. Why we are chanting every day same 16 round Hare Krishna Mahamantra? Why we are? So this is because we have a rasa. So practically,
Anandam Bodhi.
yet it is increasing every moment. It's not still. It is not getting old. It is immortal. It is a nectar. It gives pleasure. Okay, what is the next? I think you practically apply this. How this in our life, how we are continuing in Krishna consciousness, because there is some taste and there is some relationship with the spiritual master, relationship with the devotees, relationship with the deities of the temple, and then we have relationship with somehow, at least these are the certain relationship we have, therefore we are continuing and we are getting some taste in that. Okay, what is the next question?
Just 3 questions in the preface. No question.
What? No question?
Only 3
In the
questions.
preface.
Oh, preface questions are over.
Yes, only 3.
Okay, only 3. Okay. So now we are going to the introduction, which is the first wave, Samanya Bhakti. An introduction now. This slide is on. Can you see this slide? No? I think no. Right? It's not visible. Okay. Introduction has 3 sections again. From paragraph 1 to 6 is Mangala Charn, which means invoking auspiciousness. The second section is brief description of content of the book, and that is in 1 paragraph number 7. And the rest of the introduction is definition of pure devotional service. So after 7th paragraph, from 8 till the end of the introduction, there is discussion on the definition of pure devotional service. So is it clear? We have 3 things.
Yes.
Now we are going to discuss the Mangala Charan. So, anybody know what is Mangala Charan?
Invocation.
Invocation. Auspicious invocation.
Say Govardhan.
Auspicious invocation.
Auspicious invocation. Okay. Very good. Anybody else?
Blessings of previous acharyas for the future study.
Say again.
Invoking the blessings of previous acharyas for further study.
Okay, invoking the blessing of previous acharyas for further study. Okay. Here is a definition of Mangala Charan from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Can you see on the slide?
Yes.
Say Mangala Charana hai trividha prakara vastu nirdesh ashirvad namaskar. So the Mangala Charan has 3 components. Vastu nirdesh, ashirvad and namaskar. Vastu nirdesh means what is the Vastu means object. Nirdesh means direction. Is directed. What is actually the subject matter? Who is the worshipable object of the book? Well, Vastu Nirdesh. This is in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Tritya Shlokera Kari Vastu Nirdesh Ya Haite Gyan Para Tatvena Udayesh. In the 3rd verse, I indicate the absolute truth. who is the ultimate substance. With such description, one can realize the supreme truth. So, this is the Vastu Nirdesh of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Yadadvaitam Brahmopanishadi Yadapyasya Tanobha Yatta Ma. This is the last line. Na Chaitanyat Krishna Jagata Jagati Paratatvam Param Iya. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Krishna Chaitanya is actually the VIHE or subject of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Similarly, this is the Vastu Nirdesha of Srimad Bhagavatam, first verse. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vasudevaya is a subject matter. Krishna. Satyam Param Dhimahi. Actually, Satyam Param Dhimahi is also Vastu Nirdesh. And this is the Vastu Nirdesh of our Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. You can repeat after me. Akhil Rasamrita Murti.
Akhil Rasamrita Murti.
You may not remember whole words, but only remember these three words. Akhil Rasamrita Murti. Prasramara Ruchiruddha Taraka Palihi Kalita Shyama Lalito Radha Preyam Vidujayati. Krishna, the destroyer of all sins and bestower of all bliss. This is the meaning of Vidu. Vidu means destroyer of all sins and bestower of all bliss. Vidu. The very form of highest bliss filled with all rasa. Akhila Rasa Murti. Excel all, Jayati. Others in glory. He brings Tarka and Palika under his control. These are the two gopis. By the diffusion of his beauty, he accepts or embraces Kalita, which means Kalita, Shyamala and Lalita as his equal. And he gives pleasure to Radha by his excellent qualities, Radha Priya. Now, the subject matter or Vastu, subject, now the meaning is subject matter. Vastu means subject matter. Of all three books is Krishna. The subject matter Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna Vasudeva. The subject matter of Chaitanya Charitamrita is Krishna and the speech of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The subject matter of Bhakti Rasamrita is Akhil Rasamrita Murti Krishna. Anyway, this is, the lower one is an example. Like now this rest is too much. These are the verses of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. I think it will be too much for us, my father. You right now. So Akhil Rasamrita, why Krishna is called Akhil Rasamrita Murti? He has four supreme qualities. Number one, destroy suffering. Number two, surpass all. Number three, produce all happiness. Number four, source of all. And because he is Akhil Rasamrita Murti, form of supreme bliss, Amrit Murti, since he contains 12 rasa, Akhila rasa. What is the proof that Krishna has all the rasas? There is a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. And this is the verse when Krishna is in Mathura in a wrestling match of the Kansa. And here you see the next slide are the different rasas. Wrestler as a thunderbolt, Virya Ras. Man of Mathura as best of males, Vishmaya Ras. Woman as Cupid, Madhurya Ras. Coward boys and their relatives, Sakhya and Hasya Ras. Impious rulers as chastiser, Rodra Ras. His parents, Vatsalya and Karuna Ras. Death for Kansa, Bhayanak Ras. Unintelligent as Virat Roop. As Virat Roop, Bibhasta Ras. Yogis as Shantaras and Vrishnis as Dasya Ras. So we will have this slide. What are the 12 rasas you have to remember? But this is the example given by Jiva Goswami from Bhagavatam, that Krishna has all 4 rasas. Okay, now we are going to an easier and quicker slide, which we have already here. So now we are going to the Mangalacharan. So Vastu Nirdesh, Namaskar, Ashirwad. So Mangalacharan has 3 parts. Now you see here same thing very simply which you have now. Paragraph number 1 is Vastu Nirdesh in our book. Now open our book. Paragraph number 2 to 3 is Guru Vandana, which means Namaskar. And paragraph number 4 is Vaishnava Vandana. Paragraph number 5 and 6 is Ashirwad. Is it okay? Is it clear, everybody? Yes? So by this we have finished the 6th paragraph as such. Now we'll read this. This is the verse which you have in your slide. Akhil Rasa Amrita Murti Prasamarichir Vidya Taraka Pali Kalita Shamala Larito Radha Priyam Vidu Jayati. Krishna Akhil Rasa Amrita Murti. So Akhil Rasas are all present. There are 12 rasas here. 5 primary rasa, 7 secondary rasa. 5 primary rasa you can see here. Neutrality is called Shanta, servitorship is called Dasya. Dasya, friendship is called Sakhya, parenthood is called Vatsalya, and conjugal is called Madhurya. And 7 secondary rasas. Comedy, Hasya. Chivalry, Virya. Anger, Rodra. Dread, Bhayanak. Compassion, Karuna. Ghastliness, Bibhasta. Adbhut, wonder. These are the 12 names of the rasas. Now, I think better first we start reading our book. I would say before reading our book, I will. Oh, why somebody is? Why somebody? Oh, why mic is open and so many things are going on. Hari Bol.
Sorry, Prabhu, sorry.
Okay. So, the verse which we have discussed now, which verse we have discussed right now? Akhil Rasamrit Murti, right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
That is the verse of Vastu Nirdesh. Is it okay? That is called Vastu Nirdesh. Is all right?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, Vastu Nirdesh means objectives.
Say again.
Vastu Nirdesh means objective.
Vastu Nirdesh, here you have seen the again, you see the exact word.
Defining the objective.
Vastu Nirdesh, defining objective, which actually means the who is the main object of the book. Krishna. The whole subject matter is Akhil Rasamurti Murti Krishna. Whole Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is focused on Krishna. Now you read the first introduction's first paragraph we are reading now. Is it okay? Open your book. Invoking auspiciousness means Mangalacharan. Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, the reservoir of all rasa. That is the Akhil Rasamrita Murti, which are called, now the Srila Prabhupada is giving all the 12 rasas in a list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the 12. Now he has captivated all gopis, headed by Tarika, Palika, Shyamala, Lalita, and ultimately Srimad Radharani. This is the actually Mangalacharan of the verse just we discussed. Prabhupada's paraphrase. Now Srila Prabhupada is taking opportunity and expanding his own namaskar. Let his Lordship grace be on us, means Krishna's grace be on Prabhupada, so that there may be not be any hindrance in the execution of his duty, this duty. So Prabhupada wants Mangalacharan himself. Mangalacharan means there should be no obstacle in completing the project, whatever one has. So, sorry to say, when somebody asks you what is the meaning of Mangalacharan, means the work which I am starting must complete without any obstacle. For that we pray to the presiding deity, which is the defining object, and then we offer obeisances to the spiritual master and the and then there is some benediction for the protection and those who read. So Srila Prabhupada is taking opportunity himself now. This is not Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. This is Prabhupada's own personal Mangalacharan. Duty of writing the nectar of devotion impelled by His divine grace, because I am impelled by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. So the first paragraph is Mangalacharan by Rupa Goswami and Mangalacharan by Srila Prabhupada. So the last line is Mangalacharan by Srila Prabhupada. Is taking opportunity and also doing his own Mangalacharan. Now this is what are the three categories of chief gopis. Lesser stature gopis, Tarka and Palika, Krishna controlled them. So if you know, the gopis have a different groups, the two major groups. One is called leftist gopi and other is called rightist gopi. You know this? Do you know the rightist and leftist gopis?
No, Prabhu.
No, Prabhuji.
Krishna is mine. Is a leftist gopi, Radharani and her group. It's called Vam Bhaga. Is a leftist gopi. Then rightist gopi is headed by Chandravali. They say we are Krishnas. Krishna is mine, or I am Krishna. So there are two different. These are two rivals actually. So some gopis are of the group of, and there are two more words you remember by now. One is called Supakshya. Su means Supakshya. Paksh means side. Supakshya means those who are on the side of Radharani. Leftist group. And Vipaksha means on the opposite side, which means rightist gopi, Chandravali's side. And then there is a group of gopis which they are neutral. Then there are gopis which are more inclined to the right or left side. So here Tarka is Chandravali's side and Palika is neutral in that category. And Krishna control them means they are of less stature. By Krishna's effulgence, they are automatically attracted. Then medium stature gopis, they are Shamla and Lalita, they both are of Radharani's side, Supakshya gopis, leftist group. Krishna considers them equal. But they are in pairs. But the supreme gopi is singular, Radha, Prayasi. It means Krishna pleases Radha. So Radha is the topmost gopi. So even in the beginning, the first paragraph of Nectar of Devotion is speaking the highest, topmost mellow and topmost devotee, Radharani and all the gopis. So this is the subject matter of rasa. Somebody will ask sometime why the other examples are not given of the parental and other. They are included actually. Because when some reaches to the Madhurya, it includes all other. Like you have 2000 rupees note, now it contains 500, 150, all are included in that. In that way, this is the three different stages of the gopis. So our first paragraph we have finished in our book. Is it okay? Yes? Alright? Now we are...
Krishna Prabhu.
Yes?
So Prabhu, these Ashtasakhis are like from Radharani's...
Ashtasakhis are all leftist Radharani, Supakshya gopis. They are all Supakshya, yes.
So what is the role of these other group of gopis in...
they have so many pastime, unlimited pastime. How can they be angry if there is no... Krishna goes to the other gopis, then the Radharani become angry, and then there will be more rasa. Now, Bhagavat Vandana, obeisance to the Lord. This is in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. The Vastu Nirdesh is complete. Now the obeisance to the Bhagavat Vandana, Bhagavan. And this is the verse actually. Hridayasya preranyaha pravartit Hridayasya preranyaha pravartito aham varakarupo api Tasya haripadak kamalam bande chaitanya devasya. I offer my respects to the lotus feet of Supreme Lord in the form of Chaitanya Dev. Though I am a wild person by nature, Varka Rupo Api, by his inspiration within my heart, I have undertaken this work. So he is offering his obeisance to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In a second paragraph, you can see Srila Prabhupada has used the word Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who appeared 500 years ago. So here Prabhupada has only mentioned this much of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But this verse, which is originally in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, is explained in our book like this. You go to the next page. The author of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, can you see this? This must be the paragraph number 6. Can you find the paragraph number 6? The author of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Rupa Goswami, very humbly submit that he is just trying to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world, although he humbly thinks himself unfit for this work. That should be the attitude of all preachers of Krishna conscious movement. This is Prabhupada's comment. Following the footsteps of Srila Rupa Goswami, we should never think of ourselves as great preachers, but should always consider that we are simply instrument to the previous acharyas. And simply by following in their footsteps, we may be able to do something for the benefit of suffering humanity. Okay? Now this is actually, this explanation in para number 6 is actually Bhagavat Vandana, which Prabhupada has put here. But originally, now we are reading our book. Let me offer my respectful obeisance to his lotus feet of Rupa Goswami. Srila Prabhupada, this is Prabhupada's own obeisance to the spiritual masters. Rupa Goswami and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami. This is Prabhupada's own personal Mangala chants. What is called Guru Vandana is called Namaskar. Because Vastu Nirdesh is over in first paragraph. Now is a Namaskar. Namaskar to the spiritual master. By whose inspiration I have been engaged in the matter of compiling the summary study Bhakti Rasamrita. This is the sublime science of devotion as now this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Prabhupada has put here, because this is the originally in the verse. Bhagavat Vandana. Now you go to the next third paragraph. Srila Rupa Goswami begins the great book by, now Prabhupada is speaking in third person. From here onward, Prabhupada has presented his own Mangala, say Namaskaram and Mangalachan, along with Rupa Goswami's. So these are the words of Srila Prabhupada. I am just giving you insight only, otherwise very simple things are given in the charts to you. Now this is the another verse, which is Guru Vandana by Srila Rupa Goswami. Guru Vandana, obeisance to the spiritual master. This is Namaskar. May this work named Ocean of Nectar composed of Bhakti Rasa always serve as the recreation hall of my Lord, manifested in the form of Sanatana Goswami for his pleasure. So this is what is the verse which Srila Prabhupada is paraphrased here. Srila Rupa Goswami begins his great book by offering his respectful obeisance unto Sanatana Goswami, who is his elder brother and his spiritual master. And he prays that Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu may be very pleasing to him. He further prays that by residing in that ocean of nectar, Srila Sanatana Goswami may always feel transcendent pleasure in the service of Radha and Krishna. Sadayam Pramodaya. So this is Guru Vandana. Vastu Nirdesh, Bhagavat Vandana, Guru Vandana. Now is a Vaishnava Vandana. Vaishnava Vandana is the next paragraph. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Charataha, this is the Vaishnava Vandana. I offer my respectful obeisance. This is the original verse in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. I offer my respectful obeisances. I offer my respect to devotees who are like Makara, kings among fishes, frolicking in the sweet ocean of devotional rasa, who disregard the insignificant rivers of liberation, and who are free from fear caused by the net of time. So now, Srila Prabhupada's comment, in Nectar of Devotion, how he has written is like that. Let us offer our respectful obeisance to all great acharyas, great devotees and acharyas, holy teachers, who are compared to the shark in the great ocean of nectar, and who do not care for the various rivers of liberation. Impersonalists are very fond of merging into the Supreme, like rivers. I am reading from our book. Like rivers that comes down and merge into the ocean. The ocean can be compared to liberation, and the rivers to all different paths of liberation. The impersonalists are dwelling in the river water, which eventually comes to mix with the ocean. They have no information, however, that within the ocean, as within the river, there are innumerable aquatic living entities. The shark who dwells in the ocean do not care for rivers which are gliding down into it. The devotees eternally live in the ocean of devotional service, and they do not care for the rivers. In other words, those who are pure devotees always remain in the ocean of transcendental loving service of the Lord and have no business with the other processes which are compared to the rivers that only gradually come to the ocean. Oh, this is in our book. Now here there is some insight. Can you see? This Prabhupada has written all these things according to the verse as it is. Now there is something here. Before we go to the Ashirwad, we have to discuss something. Can you see this slide? And just I told you this, but I'm just reminding you. If the subject matter book is Akhil Rasamrita Murti Krishna, then why does the verse mention only about Madhurya Ras pastime? Because the first verse only says Akhil Rasamrita Murti Krishna and then 5 names of the gopis. Because Shant Ras has Shant, Dasya has Shant plus Dasya, Sakya has Shant, Dasya plus Sakya. Vatsalya has Shant, Dasya, Sakya plus Vatsalya. So Madhurya has everything, like I gave the example of 2000 note. Now there is a definitely, I am sure there is a question based on this Namaskar about the Vaishnava Vandana. Is there a question in this? Yes?
Yes, Prabhu, there's 2.
Yes, I hope there must be. So what are the questions?
The first one, how does Rupa Goswami define the objective of the Nectar of Devotion in his invocation?
So how Rupa Goswami defined the object of Nectar of Devotion? Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Akhil Rasamrita Murti Krishna. who control the two gopis who are equal to the two other gopis, Lalita and Lalita and the other one and so that is actually the first paragraph.
Taraka and Palika.
Sorry?
Taraka and Palika.
Tarika Palika is a low stature gopi. He controls them. And Lalita and Shamala and Lalita. Okay, and then Radha I give this is the subject matter. This is the subject matter Rupa Goswami described in the first paragraph, right? What is the next verse?
Analogy of the volcanoes in the ocean.
Well, this is coming now. We have not done this.
And the next is analogy of the shark.
Oh, analogy of the shark, huh? Okay, analogy of the shark you try to understand.
The female Acharya is compared to shark. They don't care for the rivers of liberation.
Yes. Similarities between the devotees and shark. I mean, devotees are compared to the sharks. Why? Because they are joyfully swim in the ocean of bhakti. Number 2, they ignore the rivers of liberation. Number 3, no fear from the net of time. So ocean is compared to the liberation and rivers are compared to the different paths leading to the liberation. So rivers will join the ocean, but the fish will not become ocean. So those who think that we are merging in the ocean, they are like a fish coming with the river, entering in the ocean, but it's not going to become ocean. It will remain fish. So they are misguided. Impersonalists are misguided. And because nobody goes deep into the ocean to catch the fish, therefore devotees are now never controlled by the time. The time is like a fisherman's net. But in the rivers, fishermen can catch these all people. So time can control the impersonal other people, but not the devotees because they are in a deep water. So similarities between devotees and shark. Is it okay? Now we are going to the third subject matter of this Mangalacharan. What is the third subject matter?
Ashirvad.
We are going to Ashirvad, okay? Okay. Now, we just gave you the example of Vastu Nirdeshan Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita and Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Similarly, just giving a hint, Ashirvad means offering blessing to the readers, generally. And Chaitanya Charitamrita Ashirvad is in CC 1.4. Sada Hriday Kandare Spurito Sachinandana. And Srimad Bhagavat has a Ashirvad in verse number 2. Sadhyo Hriday Avarudyate Atra Kritivi Sushrubhi Tatakshanat. And the Ashirvad of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is this. This is what is now paragraph number 5. Mimansikaha vadabhagnehe kathinam api kunthayanasau jihivam spurito sanatana suchiram tava bhakti rasamritam bodhi. This is the Ashirvad of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. O Sanatan, he is praying to his spiritual master Sanatan Goswami. O Sanatan, may your ocean of Bhakti Ras, Tava Bhakti Rasa Amrita, Rasam Bodhi, Bodhi means ocean, remain for long time, Spurtau Suchiram, restricting the harsh argument, Kathinam Api Kunthayam, of the proponents of the karma and gyan, Mimansika, just as the ocean restricts the flame of Vadba fire, Vadba Agni. So now Srila Prabhupada on this verse, Srila Rupa Goswami, this is the paragraph number 5. Srila Rupa Goswami prays to his spiritual master Srila Sanatana Goswami for the protection of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the ocean of pure nectar of devotional service, from the argumentative logician who unnecessarily meddle in the science of service to the Lord. He compared their argument and logic to volcanic eruption in the midst of the ocean. In the midst of the ocean, volcanic eruptions can do very little harm. And similarly, those who are against devotional service to the Lord and who put forward many philosophical theses about the ultimate transcendental realization cannot disturb this great ocean of devotional service. Any question, anything you want to ask now? Because our Mangalacharan is by now in one way over. We will read the last paragraph, which is actually we already read. So anybody has any idea what is Vadba Agni? Hare Krishna. I think there is a small story in Jiva Goswami's commentary about this Vadba Agni. Some Urva Rishi, somebody created the fire to annihilate the whole universe, and then he requested and she put the fire in the ocean that is in the near northern pole is called Vadba Agni, which is, it means like a mouth of a horse or something. So that word Vadba Agni is taken from there, which means volcano fire within the ocean. So it is not going to make much damage. Fire in the ocean will not make damage. So the arguments of the karmis and gyanis will not make any damage to the nectar of devotion. Okay, and the last paragraph number 6, which already we read, is the Rupa Goswami's Mangalacharan, which Srila Prabhupada's paraphrase is humbleness. That I am inspired by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to compile this. I am not fit for that, but somehow by his mercy I will. So Prabhupada has taken this opportunity to give us advice that we should be instrument in previous Acharya and do everything by their mercy and never think ourselves proud of what we are doing. Is it okay? So by now we have finished Mangalacharan. Now what was the third question? Vadba Agni.
Mood of the preacher.
Sorry, say what is the third question?
Third question was explain the analogy of the shark.
Analogy of the shark we have discussed. Shark are compared to the devotees. They live in the depth of the ocean and enjoy the ocean. They are never caught by the net of the time like an ordinary fish. And what was the third thing there?
Volcanoes in the ocean.
No, volcano is one of the... now this is another question?
Yes.
So volcano in the ocean is a dry argumental comments of the Mimansika, Karmis and Gyanis about the Bhakti, which will not disturb the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which is like a ocean, and they are like a volcano fire which erupt in the ocean and will not affect the ocean anymore. So this is the Ashirvad or the benediction of Rupa Goswami and praying to Sanatana Goswami to protect the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu from the these argumentative and say side of you can say those who disregard the devotion. Is it okay? Is everything clear? I think did I make this complicated today?
No, Prabhu. Not at all.
So all these paragraphs, by now you know each paragraph what is the subject matter there. Now we are going to the very simple thing. And simple thing is paragraph number 7. And that is the second section of this book. The subject matter of the book. And here it is. You have the slide which is little different than this. So Grantha Vibhag is called Grantha Vibhag. The Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is divided into 4 parts. This is what the paragraph number 7. So Grantha Vibhag, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Ocean of the Nectar of Devotion, has 4 parts. Eastern side, the subject matter of the eastern side is varieties of bhakti. Number 1, and then there are 4 waves. First wave is overview of devotion, that is called Samanya Bhakti. And number 2, second wave, which we will discuss, is called Sadhan Bhakti. The third wave is called Bhav Bhakti. Fourth wave is called Prema Bhakti. And Southern side, which is not our curriculum, has also 5 waves. The first wave is called Vibhav, which means stimulation. Yesterday we used these words. And number 2 is Anubhav, which means voluntary action. Number 3 is Satvik Bhav, which means involuntary actions. And 4, Vibhichari Bhav, which means emotions. And 5 is Sthai Bhav, which are 5. Western side has primary rasa, all 5 described in detail. Neutrality, servitude, friendship, paternal and conjugal. And the northern side secondary rasas are described there, all 7. So this is actually the subject, say Grantha Vibhag, which means Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is divided into 4 sides. Now what we will discuss is this. Eastern section, 4 waves. First wave is called Samanya Bhakti, which means overview of Bhakti. This includes introduction and chapter 1 of our Nectar of Devotion. I think in other slide we have given this information to you. So first wave is introduction and chapter 1. Is it okay? The second wave is the longest wave, Sadhan Bhakti, and which is of 2 types, Vaidhi and Raganoga. And this will go from chapter number 3 of Nectar of Devotion all the way till 15 or 16. So, if we take the both Vaidhi and Raganoga Bhakti, then it will go up till 16. So from chapter number 3 to 16. Third wave is called Bhav Bhakti, that is 17 and 18. And the fourth wave is called Prem Bhakti, that is chapter number 19. So these chapters are given in your slides. You have those slides?
Yes.
So I think now we have completed the 2 section of this book. The introduction 2 section we have finished, okay? This is what is in our, what we send you is this, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Part 1 Eastern Ocean, Part 2 Southern Ocean in our book. Part 3 Western Ocean, Part 4 Northern Ocean. They are 4 waves, but you see the most important is this one. The Samanya Bhakti Introduction Chapter 1. Microphone, whose microphone is on? Sadhan Bhakti will continue from chapter number 2 to 16. Bhav Bhakti is 17, 18 and 19 is Prem Bhakti. So most important is Sadhan Bhakti, which actually we are doing. Now we are going to the third section of the chapter number, introduction. So we are in a wave number 1, Samanya Bhakti. Bhagavad Bhakti Bheda. So now this is the definition we have to repeat where. Okay. So chapter, paragraph number 7 you can read. This is all that which we have discussed. Is okay? Now we are going to the introduction, the third section, authorized description of Bhakti in our book, paragraph number 8. So now everybody should at least repeat this for 3 times and then we go further. Anyabhilashita sunyam
Anyabhilashita sunyam
Jnana karmadhi anavritam Anukulyena Krishnano Sheelanam Bhaktir Uttama Anyabhilashita shunyam Jnana karmadhi anavritam Anukulyena Krishnano Sheelanam Bhaktir Uttama Anyabhilashita shunyam Jnana karmadhi anavritam Anukulyena Krishnano Sheelanam Bhaktir Uttama. Now this verse is in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which is quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita 19, Madhya Leela 19:167. And Srila Prabhupada's translation there is, when the first class devotion service develops, which means Uttama Bhakti, one must be devoid of all material desires, Anyabhilashita, Sunyam. Knowledge obtained by monistic philosophy and fruitive action, Karmadi, Gyan Karmadi Anavritam. The devotee must constantly serve Krishna favorably as Krishna desires. So this is the translation given by Srila Prabhupada and Chaitanya Charitamrita. Now we are reading from our book. The authorized description of Bhakti or devotional service following in the footsteps of previous Acharya can be summarized in the following statement of Srila Rupa Goswami. Now Srila Prabhupada's first class service is known by one's tendency to be fully engaged in the Krishna consciousness, serving the Lord favorably, Anukulyena. The purport is that one may also be in Krishna consciousness unfavorably. So Srila Prabhupada is giving, I think first we see the overview and then we will read the book, then we can relish and understand. Okay, because there are so many things. Now this is definition has two parts. Characteristic of bhakti, primary characteristics, secondary characteristics. Primary characteristics called Swarupa Lakshan. Secondary characteristics are called Tatistha Lakshan. So primary Lakshan is one. If you take that out, then that thing never remain. So what is the primary characteristic of the bhakti? Anukulyena Krishna Anusilanam. Secondary characteristic of the bhakti is Tatistha Lakshan is number 1, Anya Abhilashita Sunyam, and number 2, Gyan Karam Adi Anavritam. So these are the two characteristics of the Uttama Bhakti.
Prabhuji, can you explain again? I did not understand primary and secondary. What exactly?
Okay. Why we need primary and secondary? That is also a question. This verse, again I have put the verse here. Anya Bilachita Shunyam. Are you seeing this on the screen?
Yes, Prabhuji.
The highest bhakti, Bhakti Uttam, is defined as continuous service or emotion. Say this is the actual meaning in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. The highest bhakti is defined as continuous service or emotion. Service is when sadhan bhakti, emotion is in bhav bhakti. Directed towards Krishna. His expansion forms or other related to him. So this is the meaning of Krishna, which we will discuss. With a pleasing attitude towards Krishna, Anukulyena, it should be devoid of desire other than to desire to please Lord, Anya Bilashita Sunyam, and unobstructed by impersonal gyan and materialistic rituals of karma or other unfavorable acts. This is the meaning. Okay? This is like word to word meaning of the verse. Now Srila Prabhupada on this verse which we have now read, first class devotion service, Uttama Bhakti, is known by one's tendency to fully engage in Krishna consciousness, serving the Lord favorably, Anukulyena Krishna Anusilana. So this is the primary characteristics. Without this, there is no bhakti. Pure devotional service should be free from desire for any material benefit or for sense gratification. This is Prabhupada's definition. We will see in our book. Anya Bilashita Sunyam. Pure devotional service must always be free from such fruitive activities and philosophical speculation. Gyan karma adi anavartam. One has to learn Krishna consciousness and pure devotional service from the authorities by spontaneous loving service. Anusilanam. So this is from our book. Why define only Uttam Bhakti? Why not Bhakti? The main subject matter is Rasa, because the name of Bhakti is Rasamrita. Only by pure devotional service can one establish a relationship with Krishna, one of the 5 principal rasas. Why define only Uttam Bhakti? Why not Bhakti? The primary characteristics speak of Bhakti. The secondary characteristics make it Uttam Bhakti. Otherwise it will be ordinary Bhakti. We will see this. So main subject matter is the rasa of this book. Only by pure devotion can one establish a relationship with Krishna in one of the 5 principal rasas. If the devotional service is mixed, no samipya, at the most shantaras. It means if the pure devotional service is not pure or uttama, then nobody can go beyond shantaras. Samipya means nikat, pure, near. Also, the sixth benefit of Uttam Bhakti would only manifest partially. This will come tomorrow, or maybe after 2-3 days. What are the six benefits? Don't get confused. Now this is what we have discussed there in our other slide. Primary characteristic Mukhya Lakshan or Swarup Lakshan. Removing these characteristics, there is no bhakti. Therefore they are called primary. Secondary characteristics, Gauna Lakshan or Tatist Lakshan. Secondary. Removing these characteristics, bhakti ceases to be of superior nature. So secondary characteristics are necessary to qualify the Uttam Bhakti. Otherwise this is ordinary Bhakti. Now there is an example given down. You read this example. Rishikesh goes to school and he scores very good mark. Hence he is a good student. In this statement, what is the primary characteristic and what is secondary characteristic?
Primary, he goes to school.
Yes, if he don't go to school, then there's no question. So if going to school is primary.
And secondary, scores good marks to become a good student.
Yeah, so how is a good student? Because he scores very good marks. So that is a secondary character. So now you understand these two different characters by now?
Yes.
Is it clear? So identify the Gaun and Mukhya Lakshan and the definition of Bhakti. Anya Abhilashita Shunyam Gyan Karmadi Anavirtan Anukulya Krishna Anuchiranam. In this, so first two are the secondary characteristic and the second, third and fourth are the primary characteristic. Is it clear? Is it clear? Now what we are actually discussing is the primary characteristics. Anushiranam. The word Anushiranam we are trying to understand. The root word dhatu is anu plus shila. Shil has two connotations. Expressing action to worship, practice and serve. They are called Pirvirtatmik, means expressing action, and Nivirtatmik means no action. That is to be intensely absorbed, which is emotion. So Anushilan has two parts, practice and emotion. Anu has two meanings, continuous and with devotion. So because it has two connotations, so it has a two different flavors. Now this we Cheshta Rupa Anushilam. Cheshta Rupa means endeavor, means activity. Indicate continuous action using mind, body and words without any spiritual emotion. Generally refer to devotional service at the sadhana bhakti stage. Bhav Rupa Anushilanam indicates continuous action using mind, body and word with spiritual emotions. Generally refer to devotional service and bhav and prema bhakti. So Anushilan, here I have, I'm giving you a little more insight. Otherwise, in our other slides, this is quite simple. So primary characteristic, Anukulena Krishna Anushilanam, 3 words. Anukulena Krishna Anushilanam is the primary characteristic. Now here we have given the meaning of the Anu has 3 meanings. Continuously, repeatedly, following after. This is the meaning of Anu. Shilanam as a to practice, to serve, to worship, to meditate. And when we do Shilanam, we have to do with the body, with the mind and with the words. And we can do it positively and negatively, which means actually Pravrti and Nivarti. Pravrti Atmik, Nivarti Atmik. And word Krishna includes Krishna himself, Krishna's expansions, all the avatar, Guru, Krishna's other pure devotees and all things connected to Krishna. This is included in Krishna. Therefore, Krishna Anushilanam refer to activities under the spiritual and well, this we will discuss tomorrow maybe. Let us only understand this much by now, by reading our book. Is it okay? Is it okay till now? Are you understanding things?
Yes.
This is a very technical subject. Now somebody can read and we will relish something. Okay? Somebody can start reading the definition from authorized definition.
The authorized descriptions of bhakti or devotional service following in the footsteps of previous acharyas can be summarized in the following statement of Srila Rupa Goswami. First-class devotional service is known by one's tendency to be fully engaged in Krishna consciousness, serving the Lord favorably. The support is that one may also be in Krishna consciousness unfavorably, but that cannot be counted as pure devotional service. Pure devotional service should be free from the desire for any material benefit or for sense gratification, as these desires are cultivated through fruitive activities and philosophical speculation. Generally, people are engaged in different activities to get some material profit, while most philosophers are engaged in proposing transcendental realization through volumes of word jugglery and speculation. Pure devotional service must always be free from such fruitive activities and philosophical speculation. One has to learn Krishna consciousness or pure devotional service from the authorities by spontaneous loving service.
Okay, next paragraph.
This devotional service is a sort of cultivation. It is not simply inaction for people who like to be inactive or devote their time to silent meditation. There are many different methods for people who want this, but cultivation of Krishna consciousness is different. The particular word used by Srila Rupa Goswami in this connection is Anushilanam, or cultivation by following the predecessors, teachers, acharyas. As soon as we say cultivation...
Anushilanam, Srila Prabhupada is saying Anushilanam means cultivation by following the predecessor acharya. Anu means following predecessor acharya and Shilanam means activity. Without activity, consciousness alone cannot help us, okay?
Without activity, consciousness alone cannot help us. All activities may be divided into 2 classes. One class may be for achieving a certain goal and the other may be for avoiding some unfavorable circumstance. In Sanskrit, these activities are called pravritti and nivritti.
This is what in our slide was positive and negative. Pravarti means to do, nivarti means don't do. Do's and don'ts. Pravarti and nivarti means do's and don'ts. Positive and negative action, okay?
There are many examples of negative action. For instance, a diseased person has to be cautious and take medicine in order to avoid some unfavorable illness. Those who are cultivating spiritual life and executing devotional service are always engaged in activity. Such activity can be performed with the body or with the mind. Thinking, feeling and willing are all activities of the mind. And when we will do When we will to do something, the activity comes to be manifest by the gross bodily senses. Thus, in our mental activities, we should always try to think of Krishna and try to plan how to please him, following in the footsteps of great acharyas and the personal spiritual master. There are activities of the body, activities of the mind, and activities of the speech. A Krishna conscious person engage his words in preaching the glories of the Lord. This is called Kirtana. And by his mind of Krishna conscious person, always think of the activities of the Lord. As he is speaking on the battlefield of Kurukshetra or engaging in his various pastimes in Vrindavan with his devotees. In this way, one can always think of the activities and pastimes of the Lord. This is the mental culture of Krishna consciousness.
I think this much will be enough for today. Now we are discussing what we read. Everybody understood what we read till now? In this 1 page, 1.5 page what we read, you understood this? Can you see on the screen something? Is there something on the screen?
Yes.
This devotional service is sort of cultivation. It is not simply inaction. For people who like to be inactive or devote their time to silent meditation, they are not practicing bhakti. There are many different methods for people who want this, but cultivation of Krishna consciousness is different. The particular word used by Srila Rupa Goswami in this connection is Anushirana, or cultivation by following the predecessor Acharya, which means actually Anu. As soon as cultivation, this is the same thing what is Srila Prabhupada has written. This is the Anushirana. Pravarti and Nivarti. Krishna Anushiranam include Krishna or persons related to Krishna, either on Chesta Rupa or Bhav Rupa Bhakti. Because it involves person related to Krishna also, it is not too narrow. For example, Guru Pada Ashraya is a limb of Bhakti, though it is not direct service to Krishna. Anyway, this is not now. This we will do afterwards. Can you see is something on the screen? No?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Krishna Anushilan refer to activities under the spiritual energy. This one?
Yes, yes.
We have not reached there in our book right now. So how much we have reached in a book? That is enough now. Now question, we can discuss something. I am just ending this system and we will just, now you want to discuss something? What we have discussed today, what you learned? We have discussed Mangalacharan, and Mangalacharan has 3 parts. What are the 3 parts of Mangalacharan?
Vastu Nirdesh, Ashirvad and Namaskar.
Yes, very good. So Vastu Nirdesha for Nectar of Devotion is? Yes, Akhil Rasamrit Murti Krishna. Akhil Rasamrit Murti Krishna is the Vastu Nirdesh of book. Very good. And what is Namaskar in our book?
Guru Vandana and Vaishnav Vandana.
2 are there, but one more I told you first, the Vandana to Bhagavat Vandana to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Bhagavat Vandana, Guru Vandana, Vaishnava Vandana. Srila Rupa Goswami has prayed to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then to Sanatana Goswami, and then to all the Vaishnavas. And Srila Prabhupada has taken opportunity to also offer his Mangalacharna. And what is Ashirvad?
Invoking blessings.
Invoking blessing for the protection of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. He is praising to the Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, that no critics can damage the ocean of the devotion by their logic and argument. And the analogy is given of the volcano fire in the ocean. Is it okay? Alright. And in the Vaishnava Vandana, the devotees are compared to the shark. And then there was a Grantha Vibhag, the 4 portions of the Nectar of Devotion, 1, 2, 3, 4, Eastern, Southern, Western and Northern. We are only doing Eastern, which have 4 waves, Samanya Bhakti, Sadhana Bhakti, Bhav Bhakti and Prem Bhakti. Now we have started actually the Samanya Uttama Bhakti. And then we started describing the definition of Samanya Uttama Bhakti. And in the definition there are two parts of the definition. What are the 2 parts of the definition?
Secondary and primary.
Primary and secondary, very good. So what are the primary characteristics of the Uttama Bhakti? One verse is missing, one word is missing.
Anukulena Krishna.
Krishna Anushilanam. Krishna Anukulena Krishna Anushilanam.
Krishna Anusilanam.
Yeah, Anukulena Krishna Anushilanam. So 3 words. Anukulena Krishna Anushilanam. So today we have discussed only what is Anushilan and what is Krishna. But even we have not touched in book about Krishna. Prabhupada will speak about Krishna in a later part of the page. You want to see the later part of the page where Prabhupada is speaking about Krishna? Okay, now we have to do a little more refreshing our memory. Krishna.
Chapter 21.
Okay, I'll say like that. What it is, next page, can you go to the next page? When we speak of Krishna, we refer to the Supreme Person of Godhead along with his many expansion. He is expanded by his plenary part and parcels. Different part and parcel. Can you find this? Next page, after 5 lines. Yeah. When we speak of Krishna, 4th line. So then Prabhupada even names that these are all Krishna. Generally, however, we should understand Krishna to mean Krishna and his personal expansion. Krishna expand himself, Baldev, Sankrishna, Vasudeva, Anu, all this. There are described in Srimad Bhagavatam numerous uncountable waves. So Krishna includes all such expansion as well as all his pure devotees. So this is the definition of Krishna in our Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Now I am going back to our discussion Anusilanam we have discussed. Anybody can speak in his own word about his Anusilanam? Anusilanam. There are two words, Anu and Shiranam. Anu has a certain meaning and Shiranam has a certain meaning. So what is Anushilnam? Can somebody speak? Volunteer?
Cultivation by following the previous acharyas.
Cultivation is a Shilanam and following previous acharya is Anu.
Anu.
So that is a one meaning, very good. So Anu has three meanings. What are the three meanings of Anu?
Continuously, repeatedly.
Continuously, repeatedly and following in the footsteps. And Shilanam has two connotations. What were the two connotations of Shilanam?
Practice
and emotion.
Yeah, action and emotion. Action is like worshipping by action of the body, mind and words. And also emotion. That is called, the word used by Srila Rupa Goswami's, Jiva Goswami's commentary is Pravrittatmik and Nivrittatmik. And therefore on the based on that, the Anushilanam is of two types. Who can remember what are the two types of Anushilanam, which is not in our book as such? What are the two types of Anushilanam we have learned today? Cheshta Rupa and Bhava Rupa. Cheshta Rupa is during sadhan bhakti and Bhava Rupa is during Bhav and Prema bhakti. Cheshta Rupa, Bhava Rupa. Then how we can do Anushilan? We can do Anushilan with what?
With our minds.
With minds and
Speech.
by speech. Body and speech. Very good. So today we have only discussed particularly mind. We read the mind. What is the mental culture of Krishna consciousness? How we can do the mental cultivation of mental Anushilanam of Krishna consciousness? By thinking, feeling and willing of Krishna's pastime in Kurukshetra and Vrindavan. Can you see this in book? That is called mental culture of Anushilanam.
Yes.
Mental culture of Anushilanam means thinking, willing, feeling about Krishna and his activities and his devotees and his paraphernalia in Vrindavan and Kurukshetra. Kurukshetra means Bhagavad Gita and Vrindavan means all pastimes. That is mental culture. And how about Vani? Vani means words. By speaking about Krishna, Kirtanam, singing. Okay. Now these actions we have not discussed with the body, because with the body when we discuss maybe next time, because it's going to be too much. Are you feeling it's too technical?
Yes.
The reason is that Bhagavad Gita we oftentimes read regularly. We are not actually reading this regularly, so this looks little more more technical or mathematical. But we are not oftentimes reading it as we are reading Bhagavad Gita in our ISKCON, regular classes of Bhagavad Gita and this, but this is very not regularly discussed. Okay. So, what are the two ways we can use our activities? What are the two ways Prabhupada said we can use our activity cultivation?
Prabhuji, ye pravritti and nivritti, do's
Yes.
and don't.
Yes, pravrti and nivritti, do's and don'ts, positive and negative. Positive means do, negative means don't do. You remember these things because when we come to the chapter 6 or that, then we will know there are some action which we do and there are some we don't do. Pravrti and nivritti, positive and negative actions. So this much we have done today. Is it okay? Anybody has any confusion, question or comment? I'm going very slow actually. One more day we will take about the definition. And by next class, you have 3 days, you answer all the questions up till now, at least what we have discussed in your question bank. And everybody must try to memorize this verse, Anyabilachita sunyam gan karmadyanavritam anukulyena krishnanu shilanam bhaktiruttama. Anybody remember now?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Gopika remembers? Yes, just say.
Anyabhilashitam sunyam jnana karmadyanavritam anukulayena krishnanu shilanam bhaktiruttama.
Very good. Haribol. Anybody else remember now, by now?
Ayabilasita sunya gyana kamadana vritan anukulena krishnanu silana bhakti uttama.
Haribol, Achalada. Thank you very much. Very good. What are the secondary characteristics in this verse?
Ayabilasita sunya
Anya Abhilashda Shunyam and
gyana kamadana vritan.
Jnana Karma Adhyana Virtan. We will discuss this next time. Very good. So, I think next at least 4 or 5 classes we have to go slow. Then we can go fast because then there are some things which are not very siddhantic or there is no philosophy. They are all philosophical. Then we have to take little time in Raga, Noga, Sadhan, Bhakti and Bhav Bhakti will take time. So anybody else has any question or comment? Are you really understanding and relishing it?
I think we need to read it again and again so that it sinks in because it's a new concepts for us.
There's one thing very good. Actually, as such a summary study we read, most of the things are not very clear. So we have really to, therefore I said you mark in your book that the paragraph number 1 is the Mangalacharan, this, paragraph number 2 is this. Then you next time read, then you understand what you are reading. You on your one book you just keep it, mark everything on that, because certain things will come that we have to really mark what is where.
Prabhuji, I had a doubt. Why don't we do the entire book in Bhakti Shastri, NOD?
Because we are practicing sadhan bhakti and our object is to awaken bhav bhakti. And then other things are little more high. Then we have to earn. Then we have to learn the different. Now we are having our classes. A seminar is going on Southern Ocean nowadays. So we are discussing something about this Vibhav, Anubhav and Sattvic Bhav. And then next Western division we can do the actually Sthai Bhav. That can be done, but this will take almost, it will take more than 3-4 months.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Yes, Dandavat.
So maybe I just wanted to answer Mataji's question that she just now raised. And like what I have heard from the VIHE staff, and I'm actually from the previous batch of Bhakti Shastri. That Nectar of Devotion is typically the toughest book. That nearly all the it's the toughest book that amongst all of the books which are taught in Bhakti Shastri from an historical perspective. All the students find this book to be the toughest. So that also makes it a good reason why it has to be learned in smaller bite-sized manageable portions, because it is indeed one of the most advanced book of our philosophy.
Yeah, I'm going quite slow actually. Today we have entered in the first wave actually. Preface is Srila Prabhupada's own overview. So we have simply today discussed the Mangalacharan and the Grantha Vibhag are the parts of the book, and started the definition of the Uttam Bhakti. Only we have discussed little bit of that. We will more elaborate on that. Well, I'm trying to really. Today maybe I have confused by putting the two type of sort of screen. One which I have shared with you already. Everybody has the one. The other I am sharing actually is one which have all the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu verses and their commentaries of the Acharyas. But as such, if I give you that to you, it will be too much for you. I hope by the time, because you will have so many questions now that will be answered when we complete this section. So we are repeating this so to understand all these technical words. I'm also trying to learn a little bit of, well, this I have taught a couple of times. I would say maybe 6-8 times I have discussed this with the different batches. But I have only first time taught with you the Isha Upanishad. That is also very tough. So I have the both books which are really good, philosophical.
Okay. But this book looks like every paragraph looks very nectarian. Just to digest each paragraph itself, I think.
When we do certain more chapter, then you go back to preface, then you will see so many more things in there. I did not really open those at that time because now it will be too much for you. But when you finish couple chapters, then you go and read preface, you will see so many things more inside.
Yes.
Actually, Prabhupada's each word is like a pearl, and the depth of the ocean you go, you can get a lot more explanation of it.
Right.
Okay, wish you good day, Ekadashi, chant your rounds, but I think I would say you answer all the question as we go along, then you will be at least then before exam it will be easy for you to simply revise. But at that time you try to find, there will be so many jumbling up of the things in a mind, and the things will be here and there. Better you answer now. By Tuesday when we come, up till now the action should be completed. No, all question answers. Okay.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी,
Yes.
प्रभु जी क्वेश्चन बैंक भी भिजवा दीजिएगा।
Question bank हमारे पास भी नहीं आया है. They have not sent me either.
No, Prabhu, it's there in the drive. There in the drive.
Oh, they must have sent, but he usually send me separately.
Yes, Prabhuji, I have put the question bank in the drive, and I will also send it by WhatsApp to you shortly, Prabhuji.
Yeah, you can send me there separately. Okay. Thank you very much. I think. But anyway, you read that means there are only two and a half page. We have done this today, no? 1, 2, 3, 3.5 page, right?
Yes. 3 pages.
3 page and little portion. You just at least you read again, at least by evening, you should read 2 times this, and then you answer questions. Then you can relish something. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much for simplifying the things. Very good.